Hey guys, welcome back to Farmer Fridays, where I get to interview agriculturists, ag organizations, and ag businesses across the state of West Virginia. Last week, we got to speak with Sarah Steck and Vincent DeGeorge from Grow Ohio Valley. This week, they're going to go ahead and finish up all of that great information they provided, and hopefully you guys get to learn a ton more about Grow Ohio Valley and the amazing programs that they provide. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoy part 2. All right, we've gone through a ton of different projects that you guys are working on, that you guys have already put in place. Are there any other projects that you would like to mention?
Sure. There's another one. As a startup, there are a lot of startup projects that we have done and are still doing. And one of the new startup projects that Grow Ohio Valley is getting into is called the Wheeling Food Hub, what we're calling now the Wheeling Food Hub. And the notion there is really to create the middle rung, if you imagine, of a vertically integrated supply chain between local farms and local markets. But that is a facility that can make all the products, the shelf-stable, value-added products with a nice label and brand on there. So that a local farmer's crops, for instance, can be sold over the course of months or even years instead of, a week at a farmer's stand, and for a lot more profit going back to farmers. It's really hard to make a profit and a living off of, say, produce or other raw local food products. It makes it all the more commendable that our farmers are already. But one of the big things that a commercial farmer has going for them is that they have access, because of the scale, to all the commercial processing. So we want to offer those facilities to local farms and food businesses. And that's what the Wheeling Food Hub's goal is, to provide everything needed: processing, packaging, business development, to local food businesses. So again, they can get their foods on grocery store shelves and in those cafeterias and hospital cafeterias and school cafeterias that Sarah was talking about. So that's an exciting project. We are still in a major fundraising push. We have a feasibility business plan, and we look forward to being able to bring that asset, that facility, to local food businesses and farms around the valley.
This is a phenomenal program, and honestly, I cannot wait to watch this unfold and make a huge difference in the lives of different farmers across Wheeling and West Virginia if they choose to participate. So this is phenomenal. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us.
Very good. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. So you've mentioned AmeriCorp a couple of times. Do you want to go into that a little bit too?
Sure. The AmeriCorp program generally is like the Peace Corps or other years of service programs, but unlike the Peace Corps that's international, AmeriCorp is domestic.
Okay.
So our AmeriCorp program is offered through Volunteer West Virginia across the whole state. We host in Wheeling at Grow Ohio Valley. We have as many as 20-ish AmeriCorp during peak summer season. On whether it's our urban farm teams, our education team, our rural farm team, the Edible Mountain Project. And that's a great program. I cannot encourage enough people to take a year of service, if that at all interests you, after high school, after college, gap year, after you turn 45. There's no wrong time to do some service. There are terms as short as 3 months, as long as a year. And very excitingly, let's see, there are a few benefits. Previously, there's a living stipend associated with it and an education award that can help pay towards college or student loans. But then just earlier this month, Volunteer West Virginia is rolling out a tuition waiver program. So every time period, say year, that you serve with AmeriCorps in West Virginia, you get free in-state tuition for that same period. There's more information available online. It's a new program, but that's really exciting.
Oh yeah.
And I hope allows us to continue to grow High Valley's AmeriCorp program, or again, other great AmeriCorp programs around the state.
Phenomenal. This is so exciting. And then is there a website for that I can include as well?
We have an AmeriCorps tab that links on High Valley's website.
Awesome.
And I believe if you go to Volunteer West Virginia,
okay,
you can see all the AmeriCorps sites in West Virginia.
And I'm not sure what the website is, but if you just kind of Google AmeriCorps, there's I'm sure federally maintained website that you can search every AmeriCorps opportunity in the country.
That's cool. Okay.
Elizabeth, West Virginians, as you probably have learned in your travels and growing up here, are very generous.
Yes.
We serve in a lot of different capacities, but we have one of the highest service rates, both in the armed services, but then also in the AmeriCorps. There are more West Virginians per capita serving in AmeriCorps than just about any other state. I'd have to look for the current years, but I know in the past couple of years, we're always towards the top of the list, if not the highest. So way to go, West Virginia. I think that's
yeah. I mean, one of my favorite quotes is, the sun may not always shine in West Virginia, but the people sure do. And that's a perfect example of just that.
Here.
So my next question, I think probably Sarah might be able to answer this one. When it comes to the urban farming program, how could another city in West Virginia start something like that in their own hometown?
Well, I mean, I guess to harken back to how Grow Ohio Valley first got started, it was started by Danny Swan and Ken Peralta, and before they started it, it really was just Danny. He was a college student, and he was working at Laughlin Chapel, this after-school program that we do a lot of educational programming with still. He was working there, and there's just kids with all their energy running around a classroom. He's thinking, man, what do I do with these kids? I know I love gardening. So he took them outside to just across the street. There was a little bit of land next to the sidewalk, and he started gardening with them there. And then half a block down the road, there was an abandoned lot. There used to be houses there, but the houses were torn down when they built an overpass within that same lot. So there was nothing going on there. The land was owned by the highway department at that point. And Danny, as like a 21-year-old college student, asked the highway department, can I use this land for gardening with these kids? And they said yes. And so he started using this, our first farm site. So I guess what I can say is, you don't necessarily need to own land to start to, there's land available, and probably more so in West Virginia than in some other more densely populated regions, and just to carry on with that, we don't own actually any of the land that we farm. Our apple orchard and our meadow farm site are on land that's owned by the Wheeling Housing Authority. We lease our large rural farm from a church. So how could people, when after Danny graduated from college, he wanted to keep doing what he was doing, and there were enough people around him, supporting him and saying, you should really, you've got something here, you should start a nonprofit. And he kind of connected with Ken Peralta, who has a lot of like business background, and they made it happen. They started the nonprofit. And of course, it's expanded into this huge thing from here, and it's taken a lot of work by many people at this point.
But starting small is doable. And it's one of the things we talk about with regard to food sovereignty. Food is something we all need, obviously. We also say it's something that we can all participate in. Anyone can pick up a shovel, plant some seeds. And like Sarah said, especially in West Virginia, We have a very generous community, and if there's a site that someone's interested in, ask, say, hey, this is a beautiful site. Maybe it could be more productive with some farming. And if they say no, let's go to another neighbor. And then hopefully, the community can get behind what's going on. And there are other urban farms around the state and other people using ag in really impactful ways. So.
Oh yeah, so kind of finding creative solutions to a national problem, so just not being afraid to ask, not being afraid to go out there and try new things. So those are really great suggestions, and I agree with all of that 100%. I love this. So we're slowly running out of time, but I do have 2 more questions for you guys, just something short and simple. You guys are doing a ton to help your community, but what can our community help with you guys? How can our community help you guys?
Well, I mean, just be interested in buying local produce and local goods, which I think that people in West Virginia are interested in that. That would be my thing. And not be afraid if the price is just a little bit higher, because it's definitely worth probably what that farmer is asking for.
Oh, yeah.
With the amount of work that went into it. Of course, someone's family farm is not going to have the efficiency of a factory farm somewhere else in the country. So, it might be a 50-cent difference, but don't be afraid of that.
That's right. That 50 cents is going to support local farmers.
Right.
And absolutely, in terms of community support, getting involved however one can, whether that's farming yourself or participating in a community garden or an education program or shopping at the public market or trying a CSA for a year. There are lots of opportunities, and we're really grateful to our community for the ways that they support us. So thank you. And maybe I'll just plug the AmeriCorp program one more time. If anyone's particularly interested or knows of anyone who's particularly interested in, we'd be happy to give them a stint with AmeriCorp.
That's great. That's perfect. Those are wonderful opportunities too for the consumers and the people of West Virginia. And my final question for you guys stems from the FFA Creed. It begins with, I believe in the future of agriculture. So why do you guys believe in the future of agriculture?
You want it first?
Sure. What makes me really optimistic about the future of agriculture in West Virginia in particular is the recent legislation that's gone into effect, requiring public institutions to buy 5% of
the Fresh Food Act. Yes.
Food Act.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's so encouraging. And now it's really it puts the ball in the court of farmers. Like, let's grow more food. We need more farmers, because that's such a great sales opportunity. But I think this is the case, across the country. We need more farmers. So.
And I'd echo that. I might say one of the things that excites me about the future of agriculture is that as we, humanity, West Virginians, what have you, continue to change, so is agriculture. So whether that's in urban farming or whether that's in creative means of farming, you could think about indoor farming or rooftop farming. There's all kinds of creative and innovative ways that farmers are meeting the needs and opportunities of humanity to continue eating. We need to keep eating. And I love the creativity and innovation that farmers are continuing to exhibit, like Sarah Steck here, and hopefully like the work that Grow High Valley is continuing to do.
I love this. Thank you guys so much. And thank you so much for taking the time to share your story today. I know it means a lot to me and a lot to our viewers at home. And thank you for the work that you're doing within the agricultural community.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for your contribution to that work.
All right, guys, that's the end of today's Farmer Friday interview. I appreciate you listening. Make sure you check in next week for next week's exciting video. And as always, please remember to thank your farmers.